It's time for The Drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is a Monday edition of The Drive with Q coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game studio, Southwest Florida's newest game in town. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Angel Martinez behind the glass producing the show. We will take you up to down to about 5:30-ish today. We'll be doing the fights later on this evening, so a little prep work will be required. But with that being said, hope everyone had a good sports weekend. You're enjoying your Sports Monday, the 27th of January 2025. Don't forget the 727-858-6650, or as we like to call it on this Monday edition of The Drive, we typically call it a Man Up Monday, a Manolo Loco Lunes Monday, whatever you want to call it. I can say this. The grumpiness, the aggravation, the just disgust, disdain. I mean, I didn't sleep last night. Food tasted horrible. My fresh roasted coffee, which is usually delicious, it's still delicious, but it just didn't have that kick when I needed it to have that kick. Why? Because Super Bowl 59 is set. The Philadelphia Eagles absolutely shredded the Washington Commanders. The Buffalo Bills proved once again that they cannot get over the hump, and Kansas City, the Chiefs, are the Kansas City Chiefs. And here we go. We got a rematch from a couple years ago. Kansas City opened as a very slight 1.5 point favorite in that game. And we will get to the Eagles and the ripping of Washington in a moment because I got a lot of thoughts on that game. But AFC, you have to start with Kansas City and what they've been able to accomplish. Going back to the Super Bowl for the third straight season, having an opportunity to go back-to-back wins. We've never seen that in the NFL. Look, you might as well just cement Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey, Arrowhead, Chiefs Kingdom, the fan base. Here you go. They're going to try to write history against the Philadelphia Eagles. And yesterday also proved one thing. Yesterday proved that if you are a fan of the NFL, you can bitch, you can whine, you can cry, you can literally just sit there all you want and talk about the refereeing and the officiating and spot this and bad spot that. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. Sometimes there's just horrible officiating in the NFL. There's horrible refereeing in the NFL. There are missed calls. There are bad calls. There are hankies that were picked up, hankies that should have never been picked up, hankies and handkerchiefs that have never been thrown, shouldn't have been thrown. All that being said, the Buffalo Bills had an opportunity to go on the road yesterday, and when they needed to make plays late, they couldn't do it. When the head coach had to actually coach a sound and smart game, he didn't do it, i.e. chasing points, going for 2-point conversions. When they were talking about getting the ball in the playmaker's hands, who was a dominant player yesterday in Cook, they didn't do it. The Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia, you can cry, you can bitch, you can moan, whatever. You can jump on tables. Whatever you want to do today, just know this. Your golden boy of a quarterback, who, by the way, I still believe is the NFL MVP, who made a couple nice throws late, really looked rattled early on and was not sharp. Your head coach, and dare I say it, it might be time to go in a different direction and move on from McDermott. You had chances and chances and chances a galore yesterday, and ultimately you fade 32-29. Patrick Mahomes does what he does best. He makes the great plays late. Kansas City wins another AFC championship. Here we go. Eagles, Kansas City, New Orleans, Bourbon Street, get ready. But the Bills, they had so many moments yesterday, and the play calling was really just, I don't even know what to make of the play calling. And everyone's going to talk about, and we'll play it in about 15, 20 minutes. We will get into the fourth down call, shortage, the yardage, and the bad spot. So we got so much of that game to get into. And that's kind of where I want to start, but I will highlight the Philadelphia Eagles because yesterday, and my goodness, you sit there and maybe I don't want to say it was my disdain or my disgust for the Philadelphia Eagles because at this point, the only ones that care about Saquon are the New York Giant beat writers because they keep bringing it up. Good for Saquon. You're going to the Super Bowl. Well done. You had a remarkable season. You weren't going to have that season with the Giants. But here's where, if you're a Commander fan today, and I did not see them getting waxed. 0 for 2, by the way, on Q's picks. But we didn't do bad with the player props. You guys called it again. You guys came out and basically said not only was Saquon, well, we knew he's going to have a big day, but you were talking about touchdown-wise, that Washington was just, they weren't ready for this game. They weren't ready for this game. And we talked about it ad nauseum on Friday. We mentioned coaching, and we talked and we highlighted all 4 coaches respectively: McDermott, Sirianni, Reed, and Quinn. And the one thing, if you guys recall, I mentioned, how are they going to coach? How are they going to coach? Are they going to be consistent? Are we going to see the aggressiveness? Are they going to show some stones? And obviously, we saw Washington with the stones, with the fake punt. But prior to that, this is what bothered me yesterday. If you were a Washington Commanders fan, listen, you got rough shot, you got woodshed, you got dog walked. You were outclassed by just a much better team. A much better team. Turnovers killed you, and we said it on Friday. You can't turn the ball over. Can't turn the ball over. You can't do it against the Philadelphia Eagles. You have to play possession to possession. You have to stretch out possessions, and you're probably going to have a little trickery. Well, we saw a little trickery. But this is where, if anything, you can be upset today if you're a Washington fan. Because on that opening drive, the Commanders took the ball and they converted 3rd down. They converted a 4th and 5. They converted a 4th and 2. They're moving the ball. They're down to the Eagles' 16-yard line, and it's a 4th and 3. And what does Quinn do? He decides, let me take some moral victories. Let's just get points. Let's get points. Let's just go for the field goal attempt. Not try to punch it in and go up 7-0 and say, we are here to play, boys. We are here to play. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. So you're being this aggressive coach all series, all season, all 2024 into 25. You're setting the tone, the culture. You got these guys playing above and beyond. You're going for it on the road in Tampa Bay. You're going for it on the road in Detroit. You're going for it on the road in Philadelphia. And then all of a sudden, 4th and 3, you elect to kick the field goal for a moral victory, 3-0, and then you give the ball to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the first freaking touch. I mean, you can't even script this. Little pitch, number 26. See ya. Shades of Montgomery back in 80-81 against the Dallas Cowboys. And even then, they're still not out of it. But what do? Young team, not ready for the moment, fumble on the next possession. Eagles get the ball, boom, 14-3. You got to settle for a field goal. You think you're hanging around after the missed field goal, and you come back, and it's 14-12. All right, let's riverboat gamble right now for 2. Don't get it. Eagles score 20-12. Fumble Commanders 27-12. For all intents and purposes, the game was over right there. The game was over right there. I mean, going into the locker room, 27-15. You guys knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. The game was pretty much over. It was, you just, every time Washington, you felt that they were going to make a little bit of a run. Fumble, turnover, fumble, strips, something. And it just shows defensively how good the Eagles were yesterday. And Jalen Hurts played a hell of a game. I told you, Jalen Hurts didn't need to overwhelm you on Sunday. Let Saquon get his. Let Saquon go off. And by all counts, they ran for 228. Now, Saquon had 15 touches. I thought he was going to have maybe 20, 25 for $165 and, a score or 2. You guys called it multiple scores, over 100 yards. Kudos to you. Hurts played brilliantly. He took 2 bad sacks, 1 bad throwaway. holds on to the ball a little too long at times, but the numbers were right there. 20 of 28, 246. He didn't turn the ball over, and he also snuck in a couple times for a couple scores. So he accounts for 4 touchdowns. Saquon accounts for 3, 55 friggin' points in an NFC championship. And then conversely, you look at the Washington Commanders, fumble, 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 fumble. The only thing we hit prop bet wise, we A.J. Brown, right? Over. Zach Ertz, I told you he was going to have a big day. Over. Jaden Daniels, under passing yards, hit that. And Saquon anytime touchdown. So not bad in that game. So the Philadelphia Eagles showed you once again, look, they're a very good team. They are a very good team. And don't worry about the betting line right now. We got 2 weeks to talk about this game. 2 weeks to talk about this game. Again, right back in the Super Bowl. Rematch, an opportunity to write their script, to change the narrative, the perception, to rewrite the history books, if you will. Sirianni, I can hate the guy all I want. Jalen Hurts, you guys can be all indifferent, but at the end of the day, they're back in the Super Bowl. It pains me to say it. Listen, the whole Saquon thing, hey man, God bless. Go run wild. I'm not rooting for you. I'll be damned. Right now, I'm going to be the biggest freaking Kansas City Chief fan in the world. I'm not going to be able to stomach that nonsense. I'd have turned the game off in the fourth quarter. I had absolutely no friggin' desire to watch a trophy presentation. Had no friggin' desire to see the nonsense on South Street, on Broad Street in Center City. Everyone acting like a bunch of jackasses. What else is new? Hanging from trees and, firing off fireworks and then shooting off guns. Oh, let's, ripping helmets and beanies off players. Fans, all that kind of crap nonsense. But that's what you get in South Philly. Bunch of rats. That's what you get. That's exactly what you get. I heard the poor kid with the fireworks and all this stuff. Good parenting there in Philly. But I digress. It was bad enough. Bad enough I had to see the Eagles put up 55. So I dealt with it. But what did we talk about on Friday? We talked about let's have clean games. And there were a couple calls in the Eagles game that I think, people talk about, the Saquon, the holding call, the hitting him out of bounds to play with A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter with the assault. And then there were plays in the Buffalo and Kansas City game. But ultimately, as much as we dissect all of that, the two better teams won. The two best teams throughout the season are representing their conferences in the Super Bowl. How do we sit there and critique when, you're there again? I told you, Washington's run defense stinks. I didn't see 55 points. I didn't see 4 turnovers and an implosion. I didn't see that. In Buffalo, I thought Allen was going to make plays late. Can you overcome the refs? Can you overcome some officiating? Can you overcome the mystique in Kansas City? And they were right there. And they could not get it done. And everyone wants to have these conspiracy theories right now. Everybody wants to write the script, and everyone wants to talk about, the officiating. This is why the Chiefs are where man, you guys pointed this out the last several weeks. They're not lucky. They're just that good. And it's probably going to annoy the hell out of people for hearing this. And they probably don't want to hear it. But right now, the Bills are 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. And you can, again, you've got a franchise now. 5th Super Bowl in 6 years, 3 straight, rematch a couple years ago. Andy Reid, 300 wins. He has a shot at another Super Bowl. You're going to stick him into Mount Rushmore right now. He's a GOAT. He's a GOAT, or GOATs, if you will. But if you're the Buffalo Bills, blame yourself. McDermott didn't catch any flack like he did 3 years ago when the Bills couldn't bring home the victory. They had, 13 seconds left. But yesterday, you want to talk about debatable calls. James Cook is just willing Buffalo to a win. When he outstretched and he reached over on the pile, it was a beautiful play. This guy's got 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. And let me just say this too. My friggin' Mac Hollins hit at plus 7,000. If Josh Allen friggin' leads him 3 more yards, he got 2 touchdowns. And you guys are friggin' going off on a cruise right now. But again, we'll talk about that later on. Allen did not play particularly well. But you want to talk about missing the boat, missing the opportunity. I'm sorry, man. You're talking the last possession of the game, season on the line, and you give up to backup Ty Johnson, who lost a yard? That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And look, we'll get into the game-changing play, fourth down. Allen got stopped. Allen, I thought it was a bad spot. I thought he secured the first down. Chasing points, you're not helping yourself when you chase points early in the game. When you chase points early in a game, it sets off a chain of events that you cannot control. You can't. And everyone could debate the analytics. Everyone can. Buffalo opts to go for 2 after cutting the deficit to 21-16 at the end of the half. They failed. When they scored a third quarter touchdown to take a 22-21 lead, they went for 2 again. If you just kick the extra points, you're up 24-21. You're playing this game a little differently. But that's not what happened. I mean, again, if you follow the game script and say that Kansas City and the Bills scored touchdowns again, Kansas City scored first, then the Bills going ahead, 30-29, 30-28, 30-27, before an extra point or a 2-point conversion try. And then Spags dialed up late when he needed to. And Allen made a hell of a play on fourth down, and the receiver just couldn't handle it. We crushed Andrews last week. Well, I mean, I said he just dropped it, but you know what I'm saying. Kincaid, you could have argued, make the catch, right? Make the catch. All right, let's open it up. 16 past 4 o'clock hour here where you guys have to say 727-858-6650. It is, as you guys like to say, a Local Lunes Monday, a Manolo, a man up. However you guys want to break it all down, we will get into it. Vince chimes in to start us off. 20 of 28, 248, 4 total touchdowns, perfect ball on 4th and 5. Good point. All Eagles fans, please shut up about Jalen Hurts. Well, you can't say anything right now. The guy's back in the Super Bowl. That's what happens when you win. Can't say anything about the head coach. You can't. Trevor, the B-Boys, chimes in. I like how Saquon set the tone from the jump. Yeah, first touch. If that's not setting the tone, I don't know what is. See, to Trevor's point, how deflating is that? You're Washington, and you have like a 13-14 play drive, and you're chewing up clock. And the reason you're going for it on fourth down is because you want to grab as many possessions as possible, and you want to keep the Philadelphia Eagles offense off the field. You don't want them rolling, right? You don't want Saquon running downhill, Hurts slinging it to Brown and Smith, and they had solid games. Goddard, solid game. So you convert a couple fourth downs, and I don't know, did anyone else notice this too? Like Washington saying, hey, we know. It's almost like an early opening series. It's got to be possession for a possession, and we really need to put all the emphasis on this opening drive. It's do or die in the opening drive. So you convert a couple fourth downs. Why in the world then are you electing to kick the field goal when you have a 4th and 3? It makes no sense. Look, I know what some of you guys, because I'm already seeing some comments. Nick and Wallyford, Sarge Delaware chiming in. And yeah, just to paraphrase, because you don't want to be demoralized if you don't get points. I don't agree with that. I don't. Because I know that's the argument. The flip side is, well, if you march all the way down there and you come away with nothing, that's deflating. Yeah, but what if you score? What if you convert the fourth down? It made no sense. It really didn't. If you're going to be aggressive, it was 4th and 5, and you have Jaden Daniels, by the way, and you go for it on the Philly 43. Then you have 4th and 3 from the Eagles 28, and you go for it. Okay, now you have 4th and 3 from the 16-yard line. Why not go for it there? Why not go for it there? It did not make sense at all. It didn't. It really didn't make sense. What do we got here? I thought I saw a comment. Can we review everyone's picks from Friday? Sure. Whatever. You guys have at it. I mean, you guys, obviously, you had the calls. I mean, I hit the player props. Nobody wants to talk about that. But hey, And I had Washington and I had Buffalo. So 0 for 2, just like Joey B. Good afternoon, Q. I lost my shirt yesterday. Went 0 for 2 with this. Yeah, but see, Washington, here's the thing. You're losing that game, right? You're losing that game. And then you got to think, let me throw in, let me hedge. If I'm already taking Buffalo, let me try to grab the over, the total, something to try to get yourself out of that mess, Joey. Listen, I get it, man. I don't blame you. It was bad. It was bad. It was very, very bad. What is this? What do we got here? After Big Don headphone. Fuck Big Don. You know what? Get that off my screen. I don't deal with that shit. Again, deal with that. I don't need to fucking deal with this guy. Trevor, I don't really fucking care about Big Dom. You can let him go. See you later. Bye bye. I don't really care. Let's see. Can we get into an intelligent point? Thank you. Can we get into an intelligent comment here? Vince, you got an intelligent comment? Yeah, he does. Hot take. The Bills need to fire McDermott, hire Spags. He's a major difference between the two teams. I don't like to call for a head coach's job when, you have a deep run in the playoffs. But I think it might be time for the Bills to look. They can't get over the hump. That's the thing. Like, maybe you need a new leader of men, as we like to say. If you listen to the Jets press conference today, everyone thinks you win games with, press conferences. You don't win games with press conferences. You win games on Sunday. The Bills just can't get over the hump. And it's just, I mean, what do they need to do? What do they need to do to get over the hump and just get rid of that taste of Kansas City, right? When Washington went for the fake punt early in the game, that wasn't a good sign for them. That was, again, it was desperation, Jovan. It's not about liking. It's just, these guys are corny, man. I don't need to see that dude wants more camera time. It just goes in with the whole mystique of the annoyance that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to be very agitated over the next 2 weeks. I'm telling you. And if I have to come on the air friggin' February 10th on a Monday and I have to wax poetic about the friggin' Eagles hoisting a Lombardi trophy, I'm going to be aggravated and you will have to just sift through it. 2 more weeks of this nonsense? I don't need to see this crap. I'm telling you, fourth quarter, I said enough. Why am I going to aggravate myself? I said, enough is enough. Let's go for a walk. Let me plug in a little 2007, 2011 Giants. Let me turn back the clock and live in the past instead of having to watch that or people, grease poles. Rats grease poles, Angel. That's what they do. They go in hiding. 727-858-665. Listen, and you have to, it's not a jealousy thing. It's just the disdain I have for Philadelphia sports. It's paramount. I do not hide it, but I also have to step back and be fair and be objective. I have to. Hold on a second. I'm giving credit. It's exactly what I'm doing. Degrees to pull. I don't think there's a pole over there on Chestnut Street. I don't think so. That's we might have to investigate that. That's something I might have to ponder during the break. We might have to investigate that a little bit. 727-858-6650. It's just disdain. It's like, are you kidding me? Another run at the Super Bowl. And, my first reaction was, man, I wonder how the country is viewing this game. Are we at the point where we're sick and tired of the Chiefs, or like me, you have such disdain for anything related to Philly that you turn around and say, you hope the Chiefs beat them 76-2. I'll give you a safety. I have no problem giving you the safety. Joe D. Summers Point chiming in. Q. He's Joe D with the LOL laughing out loud. You have to be absolutely beside yourself to see your guy run up and down the field, left and right, scoring touchdowns for gangrene. Get over it, Q. We're winning it all. No. I got 2 weeks of this nonsense. I was told to woosah. I was told to breathe a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I really don't. You know, it's funny too, because there were some that claimed on the air on Friday who claimed to be fans. They claimed the Eagles were going to lose. And now I see them on social media getting in on the celebration. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to sit there and tell you if he's behind the glass, but I'm just going to say this. It's a poor look. No comment about Daboll and Sanders at the Shrine, but who cares? I didn't. You know what? Get out of here with the nonsense. I don't care who the Giants. I don't have to like the draft pick. Let him draft Sanders. And then when he turns into a bust, I'll come on the air and say, I told you so. I'd rather have Ward or Hunter or trade the pick, but it's not about the Giants today. And I don't care about Daboll at this point. I really don't. Or Joe Schoen. It's about the 4 teams that were standing on Sunday and now the 2 teams that are left. And I think if you're Buffalo, you have to be beside yourself. You have to. You had opportunities to win this game. What is it going to take to beat Kansas City? Seriously. What is it going to take? It does not make sense at all. I mean, there was a realistic scenario in which the Bills are the ones leading 32-29 before the Chiefs kicked the late field goal, which would have tied the game. And now, and listen, Josh Allen, the golden boy, Josh Allen did not play well. He didn't. Josh Allen, this was kind of brought to my attention, and I don't think Romo mentioned it because I don't think he wanted to be overly critical, but you almost got the sense, the way he was wording it was that Buffalo was thinking about not losing the game, and Kansas City was thinking about winning the game. And there's a huge difference. The Bills, I think, came out very tight. Josh Allen was missing some easy throws. I mean, the one out of the flat, that would have picked up 20, 30 yards. Meanwhile, Mahomes, you know what Mahomes is going to eventually do in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and he's just going to make plays. I mean, there's any other team, it's like almost conservative late. All right, we'll go let our defense go win the game. Not Kansas City, 3rd and 9. You know, any other team, we're running it. What does Kansas City do? 3rd and 9. Here you go. Piron, 17 yards. Get down. Game over. Ball game. I mean, that's the brilliance. Do you have, Angel? Maybe we can cue it up after the break. We'll do that. We'll take a break. I want to get to that 4th down. And there was a couple other things that stood out in this game. That's why people are, again, screaming conspiracy in the NFL is rigged. I'm not going to subscribe to it. But we'll come back on the other side, and then we'll reset the table, and we'll play that 4th down where I thought it was a bad spot. But we'll get into that. We'll crank it up 27 past 4 o'clock hour. Allow the ball breaking to commence. I know this will go on for about 2 more weeks. I see a lot of Eagles fans chiming in on Facebook, on X. Hit me up as well. We will get into your comments. Keep them coming as well. Don't forget, a Monday edition of The Drive with Q, powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Since my picks sucked over the weekend, except my player props, you still get 20% off your first purchase, BYP20. All I hit were player props. Other than that, I'm up in arms on Friday. I feel as though my buddy pointed this out. He goes, I listened to you on Friday. I love the analysis. I love the breakdown. He goes, but you were trying so damn hard to convince yourself that Washington had a shot in hell in this game. And as it stands, they did not. All right, quick time out. We'll come back on the other side.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Call or text the show
at 727-858-6650.
Now, back to Q.
All right. 30 past 4 o'clock hour. Will chimes in North Jersey. Q, it's all about the greatness of teams. I didn't expect Washington to win. I certainly didn't expect Buffalo to win, but they just can't make the plays that Kansas City does in these days. Kansas City owns them. Kincaid has to catch that ball just like Andrews had to catch it. The Chiefs make that play in that situation, no doubt. So listen, I'll say this. Great teams find a way to make plays. I mean, this is not the X's and O's. This is not a major breakdown here. It's not. It's just the X's and O's. Bills had chances to win. But when you're thinking about not losing while your opponent's thinking about winning, usually the great teams do. And they're a great friggin' team. Kansas City is a great team. There's a reason you get to AFC Championship year in and year out, and you're vying in contention for the Super Bowl, and you have an opportunity to win it for the third straight years. It's ridiculous. I feel for Buffalo. I do. But you can only, you blame yourself. You blame yourself and do a couple points. You know, Mike in Ohio is chiming in. Q, I got to agree with one of your texters. I think McDermott's got to be out. You need to change the scenery. You have to bring in a new guy that can lead these guys. Get them over the hump. As a Knicks fan, I relate to Buffalo against Kansas City because the Knicks were never able to get past Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And the one season they did, Jordan was, wink, wink, gambling, go retire, play baseball. And the Knicks still lost the finals in 7 games to the Rockets. But they were able to get over the hump with no Jordan. I mean, how many Hall of Famers have hit the wall against Michael Jordan? It's the same thing right now. And the more I really think about this, Baltimore was more equipped to beat Kansas City than Buffalo was. But Baltimore shot themselves in the friggin' foot because what did they do? They turned the ball over. Just like Washington did all day long. Do we have the 4th down call? Or the 4th down play, as we like to say. As Trevor would say, we won't mark the tape, but we will roll the tape. I don't know if we're going to go a little split screen imaging, a little trifecta box. I don't know. I'll let Angel line it up. So this is the 4th and short, which we will get into this play call in a second.
The line judge on the far side, initially his spot was coming in about a foot inside the 40. Then the near side linesman came in and said he was short of it. They had 2 different marks. Let's see what they come with.
After review, the ruling in the field stands as called. It'll be first down Kansas City.
Wow. I mean, you got to give, that's so close. It's whatever the call was, I don't think you could overturn it. Kansas City came in with a plan. Nobody could stop this. Here's the line. Does the ball cross that definitively? Wow.
Can you pause that for a second?
How did you see it, Jim?
This is where I had a problem with this, because if you watch far sideline, referee comes running in, puts his hand out, almost as if to signal a first down. Then you have the other line judge come, and that's where the discrepancy is. Now, again, objectively, I thought he got it, but I'll make this case, I'll make this argument. You're Josh Allen. You're a behemoth. You're like, a a Greek god here. You can't pick up a yard. And it also shows the brilliance and, to my annoyance, of the tush push, which eventually it's going to be banned in the NFL because no one can stop the Eagles doing it. They run it perfectly. But if you're Buffalo, why not run Cook? You got stopped again. Go ahead. You can let it roll out.
I felt like he gained it by about a third of the football, Jim. That was just my take on the play. Tough play.
I agree. But the Chiefs take over on downs. Looking to strike right after taking it over on downs. He fakes the toss even as he moves past the line of scrimmage and gets hit by
I really
Douglas.
I don't know what you guys. I thought it was. I thought it was a bad spot. I thought it was a first down, but. And I'm getting a couple of comments. I'll get to them. I also think when you're Buffalo, you had ample amount of opportunities to win that game. That's the thing. You know, you can't be chasing points. And that's what the Bills were doing. They were chasing points. And then you allow a great player like Patrick Mahomes to make plays late. I mean, that's kind of the difference of, we're talking like all world, Mount Rushmore, Hall of Fame type of quarterback. Yeah, we got it, Joe. We've got the mini window is up. I mean, yeah, we can get rid of that. We can get rid of the CBS broadcast, and we can get that split screen, as we like to say in the business, so we can get equal op. Don't you tell me to hang on to my show. Get equal opportunity. What's going on? What is going on back there?
What you said, remember when you were talking about the judges coming in?
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is, what you were talking about.
Go ahead, let me swim
Him up here.
Where he's going to.
So that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, fire him up.
He's in front of the line.
Yep. Now there's the bottom guy.
He's got to move around someone. He's below the line on the bottom. Well, those are two very different spots. And then line judge at the top ends up coming back inside the.
I just don't like that. I don't. What's the point of, and defer, go to New York. Listen, isn't it always about, we talk bang, bang plays, like, the play with Saquon where he got hit up. That's a bang, bang play, right? That is a bang, bang play, period. So, we want to say pilot error on that one, the flag. Okay, you missed a holding. That was a bad call. Again, it happens. But there was another point, and no one brought this. I mean, I was surprised that they didn't even talk about this. This was during the Eagles game. And I think it was Smith with the catch, which clearly looked like he didn't get both feet down. If you're Dan Quinn, you got to challenge that. And even if you lose the challenge, you're slowing down the offense. And it just goes to what we talked about Friday. Every head coach, you knew there was going to be an opportunity on Sunday where they were either going to thrive or will. Listen, Andy Reid, we know what he does. Let me just have Spags dial it back, and you can sit there and say, arguably a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. Sirianni, we didn't even have to mention his name yesterday because that game was a joke. There was no worrying about, am I going to go for it on fourth down? The one time they convert, that game was out of hand. But Quinn, fourth, kicked the field goal. And as Jovan said, you're going for a fake punt early. That tells you you're in desperation mode. That's what I was looking for, desperation mode. And then you have McDermott chasing points again, not using Cook, who was a beast. You're going to give a backup the ball the last series of the season? Come on, man. By the way, I have a bone to pick with you. You basically, correct me if I'm wrong, you came on the air Friday. Did you pick the Eagles?
Yeah.
What was the score?
I would have picked the Commanders.
Well, because you were kind of totter.
No, I picked my birds.
Excuse me?
I picked my birds, and if you remember correctly, I only said it would probably be by 3. And it would probably be towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that you were waxing poetic about it on social, retweeting crap. That just annoys me. I was this close to muting you.
Only because I know you pay attention. That's why.
I mean, you did all right. You did pick the Eagles. I thought you were coming up with reasons why you didn't think. Now you had Kansas City, not Buffalo.
Correct.
Man, I was horrible. I think everyone that tunes in, I think it was a 90-10 split. I think I might be the only jackass, along with Joey B and a couple other players. Tom in Summers Point. I know Nick and Wyford. I wrote it down. Mike in Ohio. All Buffalo. Everyone else had Kansas City. And then I might have been the only one that said. Wow.
No, because all of us thought that for the Bills that I would even say like Trevor, X-Man, and everybody else, it was the same way. We knew KC. I mean, it was kind of written in the script. But on top of, you knew, and we all wanted the Bills to be able to do so, but the only way it was going to be able to do it, and which I said on Friday as well, you had to do it by a landslide. It couldn't be close. And it turned out to be 32-29. Plus, even Trevor came up with a good point, too. Why didn't they measure it with the chains? If that was the case, it was just, listen, there were just things that went wrong yesterday, and it just adds and adds and adds to.
You know why? Because not to interrupt you, it's a really good point that, and I'm sorry I overlooked that, Trevor. I apologize, because I think when the judges came, they saw enough to make that decision. Hence, they called it a first down. If you're Sean McDermott, you might want to challenge that. Well, he did challenge the spot, pardon me. But case in point, he did challenge it. And obviously it was overruled. The call, once the other judge came in and put up, ruled it short. I really thought the ball broke the plane. Like it's weird to say the way he shoved, but he's a big guy. If you can't get a yard, that's on you. That's on you. And again, the chasing of points. The only thing, let me just add this, because I know people get very bent out of shape. So the spot replay and the ruling, you can address it all you want in the offseason. I thought he had it. So, and they're talking about just being short of the line was actually the first down. If you're sitting next to me, and I'm near the marker, and we're just inside the white stripe and the first down, clearly it looked like he got it. Like, I don't even think there was any type of discrepancy. And even Gene Steratore said he felt Allen did just enough. You're talking about a former NFL referee and CBS rules analysis. The other point that I want to bring up, and a couple guys just pointed it out, just actually comment and pointed it out. And I think it's a very astute point. And I don't know if anyone else caught this, so I want to give credit. Joe D always tuning in, just brought this up. And Kevin C in North Jersey always tuning in, just brought this up. Basically, again, they said, Q, what was the issue with CBS? And Nan saying there was a flag on the play, and there was no flag. So what happened there? I mean, that was the game when we're talking about flag, and then all of a sudden Roman's like, I didn't see a flag, and then you literally see the graphic, the lower third come out flag, and you have a spotter on the field. If the spotter on the field is telling Jim Nantz in his ear there was a flag, there must have been a flag. Was there not?
No, I'm sorry. That is the new version that they're using. They tried it last night with CBS CGI AI cameras, and unfortunately that was a mix-up, and that's why it didn't work.
But man, you got a spotter. But that adds into the conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
And were you laughing with the late in the Eagles game when the referee was basically like, if you do it again, we're going to award a touchdown?
Oh yeah. he had enough. He was more than getting ready to throw in the towel because he was pissed. He was like, all right, enough. Because it didn't make any sense. On top of, before even the play happened, you can see like on the line, if you looked in the freaking neutral zone, the Commander's helmet was over the line and over the ball even before he jumped the very first time. So it was just, anyways, all I know is that I'm just freaking happy that at least something worked out in their favor.
Who gets more beads on Bourbon Street for taking off their shirt? Angel minus 110. I'm a plus 160 on that. I mean, I don't. Is that a knock on you?
Probably.
I mean, you're the odds favorite. I'm a dog.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe he knows something I don't. Maybe dad bod versus young bod. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Man, you know, always after the fact right here. Angel, I told you, a walk in the park. What do we got here? All I saw was baguettes. Prop bet.
Beignets?
Let's do more. Is it baguettes?
Beignets. Yeah.
What is it called?
Beignet.
Beignet?
Yeah.
Beignet? Beignets.
No, beignets.
What are those?
Pastry.
The beignet? What was it? Euthanasia? The floured stuff, right?
See, it's good stuff.
Beeves or Fuji? Beeves plus 255. Fuji.
I have to bring it up later to all my Beeves world.
I actually think Beeves would be. I would play Beeves on the money line in that one, to be honest with you. What is a catch, incomplete or incomplete? I say incomplete. What is a catch? Interception or incomplete?
Probably someone was it a catch?
Yeah. Was it a catch? Are we talking about the sideline catch?
The one where he's got it. If it's in relation to the KC.
When they both fought for the ball, I thought that was a turnover. That was. Yeah, but they'll always say, you know, tie goes to the runner, possession goes to the offensive player. That was such a, you know, lucky play, man. I mean, he just throws it off his back foot, not even looking. I mean, he made a hell of a play on the ball. Ozak Q packs a separate suitcase of beads for the ladies of Bourbon Street for Super Bowl week and minus 105. Not doing it. I don't need to walk around with beads. Come on, man. Joey, you know that. Come on, don't be ridiculous. Ayahuasca.
The ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. 727-858-6665. Hold on. Monday Marcus chimes in. You got me driving on the road. I was just thinking about what you said last week. Do you think Moses and Jesus had any coin on the game? Who knows? Listen, the football gods love Kansas City. They love Kansas City. I'm not even torn here. Like, don't even ask me who am I. Of course I'm rooting for Kansas City. I am going to try to will the Eagles. If the bus breaks down, you know, food poisoning, whatever. I'm sorry. I will not be able. No, I don't even, I just saw like the video cam, the live, everything on the, you know, you're sitting there, you're shaking your head before you popped on about no, because you're getting ready to defend South Philly and all this. What a bunch of friggin' rats.
There was nothing, they didn't do anything wrong.
Guns, fireworks, kids' hands are blowing up, greasing poles, all this other nonsense. And then you see the fans coming out, smacking the one Commanders fan, the beanie off his head. What are we doing here?
Listen, my TV shows just the Philly version of it. It doesn't show anything wrong with the Commanders. So that's, you know, I don't know. That's listen, they didn't do anything wrong other than celebrating. That was it. They wanted to celebrate. Just like they were trying so desperately to make a story out of nothing. So this morning, when I was watching the Philly news, what they stated was there was a guy who was not even anywhere near basically what was going on downtown. He was up in the Northeast, was driving down the road and didn't see three people that were crossing the street. So basically they were, you know, you have the blind portion on your car. So apparently he was turning and he couldn't see it. And so he hit him, right? No one was injured. They basically got tapped 2 blocks up the road. The cops ended up pulling them over. No big deal. But of course they put it on social media. Oh, and here's what happened in Philly. Listen, we know how to celebrate in Philly the same way we did in 2017. No one got hurt or anything else. So I love how they try to make a narrative out of absolutely nothing. So again, stop making stories about Philly that's not there. Talk about everybody else and other venues that have done stuff.
Chill. Are you wearing Eagle Green today, by the way?
Yeah.
Disgusting. There's no way. There's no matching color shades today, Gabe. No, not happening. No, absolutely. No, I just... No. You don't want to talk about friggin', you know, with the missed calls, you know, Jalen Carter knocking heads off. I mean, literally almost decapitated the guy. We're not going
Again,
to.
I don't know what feed
We're
you're
not going to. Oh, we don't want to talk about that, do we?
Well, no, the same way. Like, no, I thought it was wrong. First of all, when you were getting heat as the way they were, the way the Commanders were, did I think what Jalen Carter did was walk up to him and literally put it? I think it was either his forefinger and his thumb in the eye.
Here we go. Right. Just no. Just shoot the gun in the air, and there's no issue right there. There you go. Gun fired. His fans celebrate outside, but everything's okay in Franklin and Cotman. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm just gonna sit there. Yeah, but see, you're sitting there. You made me hit the. What do you guys call this? The Death Star. That's ridiculous. Angel's sitting there for 20 freaking minutes of the show. I got to listen to you sit there and support and defend. Oh, everyone, we're just acting like fans. Meanwhile, guys sitting there going freaking what's his name? Wide Earp.
No, I didn't hear about that. That has been now. That I would agree with. That's been told before, not before 2017, and they even mentioned because they do it during New Year's, which I don't understand.
This is not 1818 to 83.
I know it's not.
I mean, come on,
because
hold on. Whatever happened to good old fashioned just banging the pots?
Okay, that doesn't
no,
happen
not
here.
now. Not off Cotman Street. No. Let's get that 38 and fire off that frigger. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of the dude right here, and nobody even flinches. Nobody even flinches.
Well, when you let the Australian run wild, that's what happens.
I
don't get it either. That shouldn't happen in the first place.
No.
Oh boy. Now what?
I'm just looking at them. I mean, what's the point? Like, the dude is grabbing the flag. Did he really think it was weight bearing? Like he wasn't going to fall down. Oh my God.
You don't have to be smart. You just have to do.
Listen, all I'm saying is I can't imagine what the hell is going to happen on Bourbon Street.
Oh, it's going to be a mess. Are you kidding me? For the amount of Eagles fans that are already in the area, forget about the ones that are coming in by the masses from Philly itself, but it's going to be insane. And then you also have Mardi Gras too to go along with it. It's going to be, it's a party beyond a party.
Oh my goodness, that is just Eagle. Is it Birds on Bourbon? Is that going to be the pitch?
That's
oh my God.
It's going to be the same way. How many Eagles chants you're going to hear? The same way.
Hold on a second. Are we going to say ELL? Listen, I really, for the life of me, I'm watching the game yesterday. And you can tell because here's my text.
Oh boy.
No, this is my text. Go ahead. You can read the text that I sent you at 6:20.
Oh geez, hold on. Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead, read it to the audience. This shows you how classy I am. Because, it was the 6:21 p.m.
Yep. And you said, I'm effing sick to my effing stomach, effing rat Eagles and their effing rat fans. Now 2 more effing weeks of this rattery, if that's even a word. I'm putting out a flag somewhere in a merchandise store. Rattery. We're not having it.
Oh my God. My buddy in Orlando texted me at right around the final second. And he's like, hey man, just doing a wellness check. I text back, F off. Oh man. I mean, listen, they got a legit shot. I mean, they have the legit shot. There's going to be a sediment of population like me who are just going to root against them because we can't stand them.
But the problem, okay, here's the thing though.
And there's going to be a sediment to root for them because they're getting tired of Kansas City, which is this Kansas City run as more annoying than what New England? It's a dynasty. It's what Golden State was doing. It's what the Yankees were doing. It's what the Celtics, the Lakers, the Bulls. I mean, who am I missing? And now you got the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Is it are we at that same level? But is it as a fan, if the Eagles weren't playing, if it was Washington, Kansas City, who would you have rooted for? If Washington won, if it was Washington versus Kansas City, who would you root for?
Kansas City.
Oh, so, okay.
I'm not going to. It's like me rooting for the Giants.
That's apples and oranges, man. I mean, Washington's, you know. By the way, you see your boy wasn't allowing the Sixers to celebrate, congratulate the Eagles. Josh
Harris. Ironically, yeah. That's why, listen, he's paid more attention to the Commanders than he's done as of recent when it comes to the Sixers. And that's a bad look. I don't care who says what, it's a bad freaking look. No, plus, no one, that's probably the biggest celebration the Sixers will end up having because they're not doing the season. So that would have been the biggest one.
Yeah. So is it to the level where the country just doesn't want Kansas City to win?
It's gotten there, and that's Kansas City's fault. And the problem is because you also
because they win.
No,
I would love to have that problem.
No, it's not because they win. I mean, listen, how many State Farm, T-Mobile commercials with Patrick Mahomes can you end up dealing with? I'm pretty sure New Englanders probably got to the point of, all right, for the Tom Brady commercials, but basically, Pat Mahomes has a national audience. The only thing is, and it's tough because last year when I covered Radio Row, it was like I went in with this mindset that screw the Chiefs. But when you went there for Media Monday, it was like, okay, you know what? I can't say anything bad because not one of them, not a one, while they were at the podium, said anything like, oh, it's going to be a doghouse, it's going to be a dog run, this, that, and the other. They went in with confidence. Same way San Fran did until Kyle Shanahan took the podium. And then you could just tell he doesn't have a clue what he's about to do here in the Super Bowl. And then that's what it turned out to be. It almost like he played Madden 2023 and figured out, okay, well, if I can beat him here in a game, I can beat him out on the gridiron. But no, it was just, when you run a dynasty and you're going to run it back, we all know that right now Roger Goodell wants them in there so bad to be the only team to be back to back to back. And in the same way with Andy Reid not going to go anywhere as long as he was healthy.
You think the NFL's wait, hold on. Because now I got to call you out on this. So you think the NFL is conspiring to have Kansas City back in the Super Bowl? I mean, is it? I gave you the numbers all week, and I even had them on Back Your Play, the episode I dropped with Lloyd. We were talking about all the stats with the flags being thrown and if they really favored Kansas City or not. Conspired is a very strong word.
I'm not saying
is it just
I'll say the word.
What's up with your audio? What are you doing?
Because I'm pleading the fifth.
Are you doing one of those guys where we don't get to see their face?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because you're on screen. It would be like something like this. And then they pushed Angel Martinez and they asked him if he thought Kansas City was in cahoots with the NFL. We wanted to protect Angel's face. And this is what he had to say.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't happen that way. So even though you can see me technically, but you can't hear what I'm saying.
You dumbass. They're not conspiring. Kansas City's just a better team. That's why they're back in the Super Bowl. Seriously. They're the snitch. Oh my God. That's hilarious. I will say this. I will not under any circumstances, because we have 2 weeks to dissect this. But if the Philadelphia Eagles were to lose and a flag is not thrown in their favor, do not come on the air Monday. I do not want to hear anyone cry or whine. I don't want to hear it. No. But because point is, I can already hear it right now that the NFL wants Kansas City. The NFL doesn't want Kansas City. It's a great for ratings and marketing. Yeah, of course. You have a team that's about to win it for the has an opportunity to win it for the third straight time. It's never been done. It's a dynasty. So people want to see that. But it's a lesser of two evils. You got a team that, quite frankly, aside from Philly, people don't like. And it's not about rooting, right? rooting and or against, and it has nothing to do with, Mahomes or Reed or Kelsey or Taylor Swift that's just ludicrous.
I've been saying it for the longest. I know we got a couple text messages that came in from Gaspam Guy and Jerry from Rhode Island, but you have 60 minutes to win the game, period. That's it. If the Eagles lose February 9th on Monday, that's what it's going to end up being. That's what I've been saying about all the games this season. And that's not just the Eagles. You have 60 minutes to win the game, period. And it's up to you. If you decided to keep them around, the same thing I said about the Commanders on Friday, if it would have been a 7 to 11 point difference come yesterday, it's a whole different dynamic because we all know how the Commanders have been. 6 late run comebacks throughout the season, including the one in the postseason.
But that's all the more reason I thought Campbell should have went for it on 4th down instead of kicked the field goal. But again, they were not winning that game. Saquon is so locked in. The last time, and I hate to bring it up because I know it's going to rankle you and Eagles fans and Philly fans. The last time I saw a player this locked in was A-Rod in 2009 when he absolutely destroyed the Phillies in the World Series. Like Saquon, every time he touches it, he's a threat to go 50, 60, 70 yards. He is in such a zone. And that offensive line open up the seas like Moses, who was the other kid that almost ripped off 70-something yard touchdown yesterday for the Eagles, one of the backup running backs. But
or backup.
Shipley. They're so locked in. It's absurd. And yes, you're going to deal with some injuries along the way, but you also got 2 weeks to heal up. You got 2 weeks. And I can tell you right now, this is what the storylines will be, right? Because the Giant beat writers are such friggin' clowns. They want to keep pushing, they got to feel, man, it's over. Move on. The story right now is you have a running back that a team didn't pay, and he rushed for 2,000 yards behind a great offensive line. He's trying to win MVP, and he's trying to etch himself in Philadelphia Eagles lore. So is Jalen Hurts. So is Smith, Brown, Goddard. So is everyone part of that organization. Nick Sirianni. I mean, here, we mentioned his name twice. As much as we might not like Sirianni, can't do it anymore. You can't criticize this guy, even if they go out and get their doors blown off. Unless they don't show up and he coaches one of the worst games of his career, the guy's back in the Super Bowl. What was his second time in 3 years?
Yep. But even the one from 3 years ago, though, I didn't even count that one, honestly. And I know there was, the whole thing with the field and blah, blah, blah. Even the NFL had complained about it a little bit. I'm not even worried about that one because we weren't even supposed to be there. That was the whole entire thing. So Kansas City went in there, obviously, with a purpose and win the Super Bowl. But
no. Come on, man. The Eagles were a good team.
No, they were good. But what I'm saying is that last year, they should have been there. And it happened what happened come last year. But that season, they literally were not supposed to even freaking be there. And they were. And they went in there, and unfortunately, they just didn't come up with a good game plan against Kansas City and the losing. That's why
I don't really believe that because they dominated the Giants. They got a bye. They dominated the Giants 38-7. They knocked out every quarterback the 49ers had 31-7. And they were a couple plays away from not only winning, but Jalen Hurts being the MVP. The kid threw for 300 yards, rushed for another 70. He had the fumble, and Kansas City scored. It was a high-scoring game. It was a classic game. They were one of the best teams in the league that year. Last year, them basically, again, having that losing streak. Mm-hmm. And then isn't it funny how we forget 10-1, then you drop 6-7 and you get blown out to Tampa. And what did we all say? Quarterback's not a franchise quarterback. Get rid of the head coach. That's all everyone was talking about in the offseason.
Yeah, well,
because coordinator this, coordinator that, get rid of Nick Sirianni. Hurts can't play. He's not a franchise quarterback. And then what happens? They just quietly go on a run. And as we look back on it now, they were the best team in the NFC.
Correct.
Would Detroit have given a better game? I just don't know. The way the Eagles' offense in that line is dominating right now. And we didn't really have to talk too much about the defense because Washington was shooting themselves in the foot. They were shooting themselves in the foot. They needed to make stops against the Rams. They did. And they made a couple stops yesterday against Washington, but Daniel's hanging on to the ball, taking sacks. I still think the kid's going to be an absolute stud. They couldn't really run the ball. You had drops, you had fumbles, you had turnovers. I mean, if that's not their complete game, then maybe we get it in 2 weeks because they're going to need it against Kansas City. So listen, they had the run. They lost the Super Bowl. They came back. They lost in a wild card. They come back. They're back in the Super Bowl. I really can't, as much as I want to nitpick, I can't, because I would kill to sign up for that. Give me a Super Bowl appearance. Give me a playoff appearance, even if I lose. Give me another opportunity to win a Super Bowl. That's a great little stretch. That's a great little run that Philadelphia's on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go out and you knock off Kansas City, not only have you won a Super Bowl, but you've also prevented them from doing something that would have been historic. So that's a little double bang for the buck. As they say, sometimes, you got to pay double for that. Well, not in this case. So it's just one of these things.
Oh boy. And open up the comments for sure. But all right, a couple of texts that came in. Gabe from NYC. Put my life savings on the Bills. Now my dog's Royal Canine auto ship order had to be canceled. That was one.
That's never a good thing.
It sure isn't. Jerry from Rhode Island says, good afternoon. Jeffrey Lurie trying to buy the Celtics, his favorite sports town. And I think Lurie is the...
I did see that.
Yeah, the other one. And also just...
By the way, real quick, Jerry nailed it. Jerry said the game wasn't going to be competitive. And he pretty much... Jerry, Madman, I think Trevor...
Yeah.
You guys were pretty much all spot on. Nick, Joe, pretty much spot on with Saquon's stats. And you guys pretty much nailed the game.
Jerry also says, just want one game without them benefiting from a controversial call that could have had positive implications for them. That was the KC Bills game. And then GBG said, Q, what's up, my brother? Hope your day is going good. That was much earlier on. I believe I picked the Bills also. Angel, just put my face where your face and say whatever you need to say. Well, see, there you go.
Wait, what did he say?
He said, just put my face over his face so I can be speaking for him.
Oh, man. How about this? Sal in the DMV chimes in. Q, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Baltimore would have gave Kansas City a better game. They were more equipped. Yeah, but they turned the ball over too. Like, you can't... Look, as much as we joke, right, for the most part, and then when we talk a little bit about the games here and there, or a lot about the games, it just comes down to what team makes the play at the most critical time. That's it. That's coaching. That's X's and O's. That's what it comes down to. And obviously, Kansas City was able to do it. Philly as well. All right, 5 o'clock straight up, 7 past 5 o'clock hour. Quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll take you down to about 5:30 on this Monday. Keep it locked into a Monday edition of The Drive.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't forget to get social with us. Follow Q at Rich Q on Q. And now, back to Q.
All right, a couple minutes past 5 o'clock hour. We will take down to about 5:30ish today. D on Facebook chimes in. Q is a diehard Eagles fan. I know it pains you to help represent the city of brotherly love. Haha, no pun intended. But to your point, I think defensively the Eagles are going to be okay in the Super Bowl. Got to find a way to limit the big playability. We didn't see that from Washington. And also your point on Quinn going for it on 4th down, then looking to kick the field goal is very astute. I was thinking the same thing watching the game with my friends. Good show as always. Yeah, we don't really, talk about those types of plays. That's the one thing that I think what happens is in a game like that, every play is magnified,
right?
If that makes sense. And I think there's two schools of thought. Quinn, if that's Campbell, he's going to go for it. Like if you're 4th down, you might as well just go for it right there, right? I'm not even going to. I want to allow these Saquon comments to come in.
Well, Jay has you, by the way, as an Eagles fan.
Wow.
So congratulations on the win.
Really?
Yeah. Look at the comments.
I think there's probably sarcasm there. Does he not see the blue helmet? I'm talking 83, 84, 85, 86 Giants, Lionel Manuel, Ernie Gray, Phil Simms, Bavaro, McConkey, Morris. He's friggin' congratulating me on the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles. Make me spit up my fresh roasted coffee during break. That's where we're at right now, which I did yesterday. What's the bird? What's his name? Sally? Sultry? Swoop? Whatever the frig he is. Yeah, he's got to go too. It's just enough already. Seriously, enough. Enough of the chant, enough of the misspelling, shooting off the guns. I don't need to see that nonsense anymore. I think the same text I sent you, I text our next guest.
Oh, boy.
I don't think I dropped as many F-bombs in there, though, with our good friend Lloyd Vance, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football on Sports Radio 102.9. Let me check my thread for a second, Lloyd, because I think all I sent you was... No, I was actually... Yeah, I was pretty good yesterday. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My text at 6:12 was horrible effing day having to watch that.
Yeah, it was definitely, not PG.
No. Well, none of them really are. All right. We'll start with the Eagles, and we'll save a little more time on Kansas City and Buffalo. We talked about it on, I think it was Friday or Saturday's edition of BYP when we were breaking down the game. You knew the run defense was going to be suspect. I did not see that yesterday. I want to get to that opening drive. If you're Quinn, you're consistently going for it on 4th down, being aggressive. Then you elect to settle for 3. I wasn't really feeling that decision. I mean, you get down there, you're converting, you're deep in Eagles territory. Possessions are going to be so critical. You want to actually try to get a couple possessions here and there, add on possessions, and then he elects to go for 3. I'm not saying it set the tone because Saquon Barkley's run did, but what was your thoughts on that opening drive?
Yeah, I mean, he was aggressive to a point. He had gone for it earlier, and he just wanted to get the points to kind of establish things. But as you were talking about, I don't think they even foresaw in a second that first play offensively for the Eagles, Saquon was going to be, boom, 60-some yard touchdown run, and that set the tone for the game. And we had talked about this Washington team, and particularly on the defensive side of the football. Yes, they had Luvo and Bobby Wagner's a little old. Allen didn't play, or was it Payne? I forget. Allen played, Payne didn't.
Right,
But
Payne
they
didn't
just, they had problems stopping the run, and they did that against Jahmyr Gibbs, and it was just prevalent against the Eagles. The Eagles were able to pile up 459 total yards in the game, and it was just. They were getting them rushing. 229 of those yards were rushing yards. They ran 36 rushing plays, 6.4 yards per carry. So it was, they saw Achilles' heel there, and then they just kept attacking. And obviously, the other big story in this game is all the turnovers. 4
Correct.
turnovers. particularly that Austin Eckler fumble was huge in the game, and McIntosh on the one in the kickoff. They really hurt this team.
Yeah, you can't listen in a game like that on the road. I mean, we saw Green Bay do it with the opening kickoff. You can't give a short field to the Eagles. They will absolutely destroy you. It's exactly what they'll do. They will destroy you. And Hurts played well. I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due. Saquon had the big runs. Hurts was efficient. I know he held on to the ball once or twice a little too long. But listen, the better team won. I think I was trying to will Washington to win, and I kind of laid it out the path of victory, right? Special teams, have a big play, get McLaren, get him in. Ertz, we talked about his player prop. Daniels has to be spectacular. You can't turn the ball over. Well, 1 out of 4 is not going to cut it. And they arrived the season early. And I'm not going to sit there and say Minnesota or Detroit would have gave a better game. I just think the Eagles right now are in such a groove, especially with that offensive line. They're going to test Kansas City. Now, I do want to get a little more insight on Kansas City and Buffalo with you, because I'm looking at this game and we can talk about the refereeing, the spot. You and I were texting each other with it. This is where we're at with the NFL. But I also go to McDermott and the chasing the points early and the going for 2, because once you do that, you're already setting yourself up behind the 8 ball. And some of the play calling was suspect, i.e., they didn't give the ball to Cook that last drive. So you kind of walk me through, what was your path to victory for Buffalo prior to kickoff yesterday?
Yeah, okay. Well, it had to be mistake-free football, and let's face it, you're going into a tough environment, and everything's against you. That championship pedigree, and I don't care what the officials say. They're always going to kind of lean towards that. Oh man, the big story is them going for three-peat, and it's Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and they kind of just get caught up in the moment. And the Bills knew that going into the game, and they stood toe to toe for most of the game. And there were just a couple crucial plays, in particular, those fourth down plays. Maybe after the push was stopped the first time, maybe to go to something different, maybe a fake off of that. And then uh, everybody's going to say, yeah, the officials kind of botched that because they called it a first down on that last fourth down tush push. And then they kind of changed it back. And there was a flag possibly on the throw down the field that Kincaid dropped, that was picked up. And, it just needed to be a great effort, and they had to control the clock and the narrative, but they did have the lead. And the Mahomes is just so dangerous in those situations. And once the game was tied up, you're like, oh boy,
Yeah.
you knew he was going to go down and get the points needed. And then Andy Reid is not desperate. He's a veteran coach. He's like, all right, I'm going to kick the 3, and then I'm going to let my defense kind of
Right.
do their thing. And their defense is very underrated. We
Yes,
talked
it
about
is.
that. Spagnuolo's done a great job with that unit. You have Chris Jones, you have Bolton, you have Reed, and everything in between those 3 levels. So quality team, and you feel bad for Buffalo. You just think, oh man, 0-4 against Kansas City, and they've lost a couple times to them in a championship game. But the Chiefs always find a way to seem to get it done.
Yeah, that's really it. You can talk about a bad spot here or there. You can talk about a heave and Kincaid, should have caught it if it touches his hands. You can talk about a turnover that should have been an interception, but yet offensively, the wide receiver fought for the football. So kind of tie goes to the runner. In games like that, in AFC, NFC championships and playoff football, there's always going to be a quirky play or two. And we talked about this all week. We talked about it over the weekend. We highlighted it. We illustrated it on the drive. We talked about it on Back Your Play. You have to overcome that. And then the other caveat was the head coaching and the decision making. Like, it's inexplicable. You have James Cook, who's a hell of a back, and he puts up those types of numbers. I mean, think about that for a moment. He puts up those types of numbers, and you're not giving him the football late in the game. It made absolutely no sense. I mean, he's not even going to get a touch. You give it to the running back who's a backup. That's on McDermott.
Yeah, and Brady, the offensive coordinator. So yeah, Cook, 13 rushes, 85 yards, 2 TDs. He was running the ball effectively, and their offensive line, particularly going behind Deion Dawkins, they were running very well. And sometimes they do just rely on Josh Allen a little too much, and he was getting stuffed on some of those plays. Yeah, he made a nice one where he jumped over the top and got that 1 fourth down play. But you have to trust your entire roster, and that's what you kind of look at when you look at the Buffalo Bills. They still need a couple pieces, particularly maybe another offensive lineman, the receiving core. They just have not been the same. Cooper came in, but he just hasn't been the guy, and they've never really replaced Diggs. And then defensively, the safeties have had a lot of problems, particularly their secondary. As soon as Bernard got hurt, you knew kind of this game was in the Chiefs' hands.
Is it too knee-jerk reaction where, Sean McDermott needs to be, under fire today? Josh Allen didn't play particularly well. I mean, again, he had the ball late. You were opportunities to make some play and display your greatness. I'm not going to put it all on him, but when do you sit there and say, okay, you got to bring in another guy to try to get us over the hump?
Well, Brandon Beane's the general manager there. He's done a great job with this roster, and Sean is the Pegulas guy. The Pegulas are the owner of this team, Terry and Kim Pegula, and I just think Sean is kind of rewrote the narrative. Let's not forget this team was very downtrodden. Rex Ryan was there. They were trying to find something, and you just hope they could get over the hump soon. But they need some more pieces, particularly on defense. But I think they stick with McDermott. But yeah, after a while, you're like, is he like Jeff Fisher? We talked about that. Jeff Fisher was that coach that was there a very long time. Now we're talking the same thing about Mike Tomlin, guys that have been there a long time, and they just have not been able to get over the hump. So questions are going to abound with McDermott's decision making, but I expect him back. But yeah, it's definitely some head scratchers.
Marcus in Wilmington chimes in. He's curious. Did you think that was a first down bad spot? What does the NFL need to do in the offseason to remedy that? Talking about the Buffalo, Kansas City.
It was a back and forth thing where they signaled it and then they reviewed it. You know what I mean? I think what they have to do is, and I think in the UFL, and they've talked about this, and I think they tried it in the preseason, put a chip in the ball, get rid of those yardsticks and everything, and just kind of have it be computerly done by a computer.
But then we sit there and say you're going to, like baseball, you're taking away the human element.
Yeah, you're right. And everybody's going to always say, and I talked about Angel News, my son, Nate, is a huge Bills fan, and he was saying, he started talking about conspiracy theories. You know what I mean? And he's
aren't
like,
any.
Start wondering, was a game fixed, et cetera. And I was like, me, Q, since we did BYP, I'm looking at the overs and unders.
Yes.
And the Chiefs covered. They covered the number, and both games were an over. So, you just wonder how the money was flowing in Vegas. And it's always going to be in the back of your mind when there's plays like the Worthy, rip the ball out of the guy's hands play.
Sure.
That could have been an interception, and that fourth down play that you talked
But maybe
about.
Buffalo's not in that. Maybe they're not in that situation if, again, you're not chasing points. The game is coached and played differently. Like every play, there's almost this domino effect. A drop pass, critical third down. You don't get to stop. A couple guys commented, and they brought up a really good point. In that Eagles game, Quinn with the fake punt. I mean, hell, the Giants did that in 90 in the fourth quarter to get a field goal late, and they dethroned San Francisco, who was going for a three-peat. That was the Gary Reasons play at the stick. Quinn's going for it early, like to the bag of tricks. The difference with Parcells doing it is because that's being aggressive. What I saw Quinn do in that moment was panic. That was out of desperation. Like, I gotta do something. If they don't get that and the Eagles get the ball right there, that game's over in the first quarter. That game's early, I should say, over going into the half. Essentially it was, but you get the point. Like,
yeah, it was a key spot in the game. And I think I texted you or I tweeted, it was a gutsy call.
It was
him doing that, and you thought, you're like, okay, maybe this will turn the tide for the team, but those turnovers were just huge.
Brutal.
And
Brutal.
Particularly, the Eagles score and they kick it off. McIntosh fumbles that ball back, and you're like, oh man, and then the snowball rolls downhill, and the Eagles took advantage of that.
Even when they scored to make it 14-12, and they missed a 2-point conversion, the Eagles got the ball right back, and they scored. And in essence, after Washington fumbles, and the Eagles get the ensuing possession, and they score to go up 27-12, the game was over. The game was over at that point.
Yeah, Joe Witt talked real tough all week about, he was going to stop Saquon and stop Jalen Hurts, and he didn't. They ran the ball down their throat. The Eagles, they have a game plan, and they're just going to stick with it. And that offensive line, you got to give them credit. They were banged up. You had Dickerson with the knee injury, and they put Jurgens back in with the back injury, and they just kept rolling, and they were able to also hit the throws to A.J. Brown when they needed to. 6 catches for him, 96 yards, 1 TD in this one. One area, though, the Eagles are going to have to worry about going into the Super Bowl is the tight end position because Zach Ertz did have a game against them.
Yeah, and I still special teams. Elliott still he's
Yeah, he missed that kick too, and that's another thing. You and I talked about, the last couple weeks, his inconsistency and can he be trusted? And now, you're going into the ultimate game, and it's going to come down to little moments, like you were saying. Do you miss a kick? Is there a penalty that gives somebody a first down, et cetera? So it's going to be a very tight game.
Yeah, Bulldog on X chimes in. Q, you're 100% correct. There's no friggin' way as a Giant fan I'm rooting for Philly. Like how? I mean, to each their own, but I'll never understand rooting for a divisional rival to win the friggin' Super Bowl. You couldn't pay me to root for those jackasses. Hey, I mean, listen, it's the lesser of two evils, right? It has nothing to do with Saquon. It's just my disdain, and Lloyd knows he's been doing this with me for close to 20 years. My disdain for Philadelphia sports as a whole. There's no way I will sit there with my fresh roasted, my protein shake, maybe some snacks, and sit there on good faith, cheer for Saquon and the Eagles. And I think it's going to be divided. Like, do you look at this Kansas City run and do you equate it to the Patriots? And now it's getting to the point where, like, all right, come on, man, get another team in there. Or do you just kind of sit back and appreciate what they're on the verge of potentially doing? And that's winning it 3 straight times.
No, Q, there's a lot of fatigue around the National Football League with fans and everything. Now it's going to be interesting. Does that fatigue outweigh the Eagles' hate? Because we know a lot of people don't like the Eagles and their fans and their antics. I see Angel shaking his head, but particularly their coach. Their coach. He's not liked nationally, but this is their chance. The Eagles to shut everybody up. They're going to play the big bully. This is a tough situation because you look at the Chiefs. I got to go with the Chiefs because I picked them back in August. We'll get into the breaking down the game and everything, but the Chiefs are going for historic three-peat, and they're just a machine. Right now the way Mahomes and it's crazy because Andy Reid, the coach that I covered for so many years
Yes.
in Philadelphia, he is not the same guy
He's not.
that he is in Kansas City. He has just flipped his script entirely. And this team, I can see why people are like thinking there's conspiracy theories and this and that, but they find a way to get it done, man.
Well, the other thing is when they did that, see, we look at Kansas City and we think they're finesse, right? Soft in a way because they're, the way, the flags and you can't touch Mahomes and you got Kelsey and this and that. Man, they're tough. They are a mentally tough team. And when they have to put the chip on their shoulder and get a little nasty, Kelsey just will get under anyone's skin. You see Mahomes with the little extra shove here and there, running it for the touchdown. Like, I think yesterday, Kansas City wanted to remind the rest of the sports world in the NFL, we're the back-to-back champs, man. Like, there's a friggin' reason we're Kansas City. Like, it was all about, the Eagles and Saquon and the upstart Jaden Daniels in Washington. And can the Bills get over? And then, Kansas City 15-2. A nice, cute little team. Here we go.
And I have that chip on that shoulder, man.
Yeah.
And that championship pedigree, and much like, no one like the evil empire, Belichick and Brady, but they find a way to get it done. And what they do is, in practice, they do situational football, and these guys are schooled and ready to go. There's nothing they haven't seen. It's just incredible. Jim Nantz said it on the telecast. He's like, well, we talked to him, and they said they saw something on those tush pushes that he loves to go to the left side. Well, Spagnuolo saw that, and he devised a plan, and they blew that thing up so many times. They tried to run that play. So that's just an example.
On a corner blitz. On a corner blitz, he's calling that play.
Great. I was like, wow, that was another gutsy one too. And they got home, and then you can't forget a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, they're soft, but Chris Jones and Karlaftis, man, that line is getting after people. They have good corners, they have good safeties. I mean, this is going to be a tough team to beat for the Eagles.
I think we don't. When I say we, unless you're a Kansas City fan or you really cover the team on a daily basis, you can't appreciate just how they don't panic. That's the thing. They can be down 17. They're not going to panic. They're not going to go away. And the other thing is, what scares me if I'm an Eagles fan is Mahomes can distribute the football. Worthy, Brown, Kelsey, Pacheco, Schuster. I mean, just distributing the ball all over the place. And he showed you yesterday, man, I can still make plays with my legs. I'm a threat, right?
Yeah,
So, and you got two quarterbacks that are running quarterbacks. Yeah.
11 rushes, 43 yards, 2 TDs. Big thing, he had 6 first down runs. They were only sacked 2 times. And they have Thuney, who's a great guard. They moved him to left tackle, and you didn't hear his name once in that game. That just shows you what a great job he did. So, as you said, well-schooled. You feel for the Bills, but they showed their championship pedigree, and it's much like the Niners with Montana. As long as they have Holmes out there, they believe they're going to get done.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scary part. Like whether the line's saying Kansas City a point and a half, whether it closes at 2, I believe it will be a close game. But the X factor, again, you're running number 26 into the Super Bowl. I mean, we got 2 weeks to dissect this game, but Saquon is just beyond locked in behind that offensive line. And I know they got some issues. They got banged up. They're playing really good football.
They are. The Eagles they're ready. And if they stick to their game plan of Saquon and physicality, it's going to be a fun chess match to watch.
Yeah. I think it'll be a split. I think you're going to see the masses want to see Kansas City dethrone, and obviously you'll see the large contingent of Eagles fans flocking down to New Orleans. I think this line's probably going to sit the way it is for a while until we get some updates on some injuries here and there, and that's going to be a fast track, man. I mean, think about that. I pulled up I think the totals shade it right under 50. So.
And I think Kansas City was 1.5 to start, something like that, favorite. So the Vegas thing is going to be close, and they're evenly matched. Detroit was the number 1 team on the NFC side, but now you got, the Eagles are waiting there. They want their chance, and maybe they get revenge for 2022, but it's going to take. Hurts is going to have to play well.
Yeah, I want to tell you how rude some of the listeners are right now. This is Trash Talking Patty commenting in. Q, Eagles fans don't want your negative juju. Giant fans vibe rooting or for us anyways. Do what you Giant fans do. Best sit on the couch, watch the Super Bowl, and cry because you didn't even make the playoffs again this year. I mean, that's a little rude. That's harsh. There's no. Hey, hold on a second. I gave props. I gave kudos. I was being extremely objective. It's just, I don't have to like it.
Yeah, they're always going to, this is Eagles fans' time. They're excited. They're climbing light poles and everything.
Shooting off guns.
This is their time, man.
Yeah, why not? That's what they're doing. West.
I had probably some relatives that were out there and all that mess on Cross Street, and it's their time. But they didn't. There's one more game. I always caution. I still remember when I was a kid, the Eagles beat Dallas, and then they went to New Orleans. It's crazy. It's New Orleans too.
The Raiders.
And the Raiders beat the pants off them. You know what I mean?
There you go, drawing those parallel. See, Lloyd will come and he'll sprinkle the bad juju. That's fine. I'm not going to pull out the Milwaukee patch until probably the Football Friday before the Super Bowl. All right. We will catch you tonight with Lloyd Vance's Insider Football.
Yeah, Kevin and I are looking forward to it. We'll break these games down, man, and we won't make a pick, but we'll break them down and talk about what happened, what will happen. So looking forward to it.
All right, we'll do BYP and we'll talk to you later in the week. I always appreciate a couple moments, pal.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, there you have it, my guy, Lloyd Vance. Quick timeout, then we'll come back. We'll recap. We'll put a bow, and we'll get out of here a little early, as I mentioned. Or you know what? We can just sit right here. We don't even have to do that last break. Just remind everyone, we're brought to you by our good friends over at Play It Again Sports, 1450 Clements Ridge Road in Deptford, New Jersey. Play It Again Sports in Mount Laurel. They'll buy your used sports equipment and more. They'll also take your gift cards and give you best bang for the buck. Also, our good friends over in Stuart, Florida, Zen Auto Concepts, the #1 detailing shop in the state of Florida. I got about a minute or two to play with. And then, as I mentioned, a little early out today, we got the fights. We got to call the fights later tonight. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you're down in Tampa safe in your surroundings. I don't need you to be out on the streets of Cotman Avenue or Broad or South Street or Swanson Street near Delilah shooting off guns and, fireworks, blowing up faces and stuff like that. I'm glad you're in the friendly confines of the SR 1029 studios.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, as much as I love the city, there's no way in the world. Someone asked me if I would go back if they do win and go back for a second parade. As much as I'd love to, I like the warmth.
Did you go to your establishment yesterday to watch the game?
No, I had too much work to do to get things ready to line up for the merchandise store and everything else. I had no time.
You had an opportunity to go hang out with your wonderful Eagle brethren over at Tampa Joe's, and you decided, you know what? I'm just going to sit home and I'm going to watch on the tube and I'm going to work on the network, and then I'm going to be bombarded by Rich cursing and texting me.
Yep, that was it. That's exactly it.
I think that was the only curse text. Oh, wait. No, hold on. As we close out, you wrote, all I have to say is thank you, Giants.
Yep.
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. You can, for the listening audience, you can read out my 3 straight replies after that.
Oh, let me go back. Please, hope Bills Chiefs effing wax the Eagles. 2 weeks of straight hate, and then followed by even Kiki was depressed. As she's staring down the steps like, really?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, she was very sad yesterday. She didn't like the officiating. She didn't like the spot. She didn't like the call. She didn't want to see Saquon going rough shot. She didn't even want to touch her little cow ear, her jerky, nothing. She just, because she knew Daddy was upset. She knew I was depressed. She felt that. And that's what a good dog does. Yeah. When they're suffering, and yesterday Angel was suffering.
2 weeks, 2 more weeks left.
I mean, well, we got through this one. I can't even get to all the messages, but we'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, we got 2 weeks covered game. All right, got to wrap it up. As I mentioned, got to call the fights in about an hour plus. They will be in the Midwest, I believe, somewhere. I got to get the card. But anyway, you got Jay coming up at 6. You got Lloyd coming up. Pete will be back in the saddle tomorrow, 7 to 10. You'll catch me tomorrow, 4 to 6. Also, Wednesday, I'll be on the road all day, back in the saddle on Thursday and Friday. Angel will be doing Pro Bowl stuff. The Man decides on a Monday. Let's give us a laugh. Here we go. What's the difference between a magician and a...
Was this the Friday joke of the day?
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, Whoa, come on now, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, we had such a good high, such a good run of comments, right? He even makes a point about Chris Jones. He's a game wrecker. And then he goes right to this. My goodness. It's a good, listen, this is why I can't control the comments, because as soon as I press it, you say, nope. I mean, they'll be visible on the YouTube channel. All right. Good stuff from Lloyd Vance. Oh, now we're scared. No, there's no fear. None whatsoever. All right, my friend. Have a good Sports Monday. I will be back in the saddle tomorrow. Appreciate Lloyd Vance jumping on board. You guys commenting. Don't forget, download the app, 1029 FM The Game, and follow us on social media platforms, IG, X, and Twitter, or if you like to say X. For my man, mi hermano, Angel Martinez, I am Rich Quinones. Appreciate everyone tuning in to a Monday edition of The Drive, powered by our good friends over at Zen Auto Concepts. Play it again, sports, fresh roasted coffee. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good Sports Monday. Be safe, be sound. As always, hasta luego, my dia.